Kathi, I'd like to introduce you. This is Kathi Loeser of Timeless Treasures. Kathi will speak more about where she works and what she does. I met her a few years ago when I was invited by the brother and sister to a home. They lived out of town and their sister had passed away unexpectedly. And now they found themselves, she had no children and was never married. And they found themselves in the situation of what do we do? They were in town for just a short amount of time. And this woman had some basically American antiques and a lot of interesting things. She collected some things. And so Kathi was so gracious and so good about coming in and helping us organize and to sell those things for some profit to the brother and sister. So that's how I met Kathi. So I'm going to now begin to speak with Kathi Loeser and find out what it is that she does and how she can help us. So Kathi, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate your
Mary Ann.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background and a little bit about your experience and your specialties?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Kathi Loeser, and thank you so much, Mary Ann, for this opportunity to speak to you all. I am born and raised in the San Mateo Bay Area, Mills Hospital, actually, Aragon High School, all of that. I have basically been in retail my entire life. We had some family businesses that were retail based. So I think that's always been in my blood. I ended up getting my degree in marketing. And I think what brought me to this industry is my general love of all things older and recyclable and, just I think it's a very green business because we are trying our best to reuse items. So as you would imagine, every job is different. Every job is in a new location. I probably the furthest south I've traveled for a job is Los Gatos and all the way up to Forest View and then on the East Bay. But home base to me is this peninsula. And, I think that's it for, background. I've been actually, I guess, in estate liquidation for over 20 years. And when I first started, there was probably a team of 4 of us liquidators kind of working together, and we'd help each other out at all of our different sales. We all had a different expertise that we brought to the table. And that was really just a lot of fun networking. As the business, all our businesses grew, we still help each other out when we can, but usually we're kind of busy. So, yeah.
Thank you. By the way, let this be a watchword to all of yours, to everyone who ever does anything in public. Make sure that you check with your interviewee exactly how to pronounce their last name.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Lesser, not lesser?
Laser.
Laser, not
Laser.
Loeser. And by the way, don't worry about pronouncing my last name. You'd never get it right.
And I don't care how you really pronounce it. Just don't say loser, because that really would probably, I might hang up on you.
Kathi, tell us a little bit about who is your client and what type of service do you provide specifically to that client or to that clients, if they're different services and different clients?
Well, okay. Probably about 20 years ago when life started, or actually longer than 20 years ago, most of our clients were people that it was usually the children or the relatives of people. They had lost their parents and whatnot, and they've invited us into our home to discuss what to do next with all of these things. But and that would be a true estate sale when all the parties have passed. But now things have changed, of course. And now our client is anybody from, like you talked about, a relative of somebody out of the area, taking care of the estate for a family in this area. But we also have a lot of clients now that maybe there is a divorce and the couple is splitting up. The house needs to be sold or whatever. And I would say now probably my biggest client is those that are downsizing. I mean, it's us baby boomers that's like, okay, we've inherited all of our parents' things, our aunts' things, all our kids have grown, and what are we doing with all of this? We don't want to take care of everybody's things anymore. Maybe we don't want to live in a 2-story house anymore. And it just really just feels so good to, like you say, get rid of things. And yes, every year cleaning the garage or things like that. But, we don't always want to do that. So that's where I would come in.
Okay, that's good to know. I may be giving you a call from my garage.
I'm gonna hang up now.
I think this next question really kind of ties in, but I will ask, so how does someone recognize that they need your services? Okay. And at what point in the process do they reach out to you?
All right. Well, I think the first inkling for most people is like, gee, I'm considering moving, sure, right? And I'm considering downsizing. I like to meet way in the early phase. And sometimes we end up deciding as a group. A lot of times the realtor will be in the house too. I really like this area, or I don't want to move. But speaking for myself, I'm all 3 of my 4 kids are married. I've got grandkids now, and I don't want that bigger house anymore. It's just a headache. It's time to be free. So, and it is very freeing to let go of a lot of things. So I think it's great to call somebody like me in the early going while you're still weighing your options. I think the latest person I met, they have a house in Tahoe, a house in Belmont. They're not even sure which house they want to live in, but they no longer want both. So it's just kind of like talking through things. And I kind of joke, like, I think right now the longest running client I had was, I met them and then 7 years later, I mean, basically their parents did pass away. And then the house, they stood vacant for 7 years because they just didn't know what to do. So I know that's a long time to have a house vacant. So I really think it's a great idea to, interview someone like you, a realtor, bring in somebody like me, or just a company that does organizing, but just to meet us, see where we're coming from, see what our expertise is, and just give some great advice. And I like to start out with meeting a person in their home and kind of assessing the situation, how much is there, the location of the house, the accessibility of a house and things like that. See if an estate sale is even something to explore. Mm-hmm. And yes, you know what, we all have more than we need. And it's just how life goes, So that's where I like to start. And then it's kind of an interview. We'll do a walkthrough of the property, and then we'll sit down. And that's a time where the client can just talk about all of their ideas, what the things they're thinking about. Do they want to move? Do they want to downsize? What to do with all their things? How to even start? Mm-hmm. So, and that, I think it's great. And, I'm really there to help people, because this is not an easy process. If it's a family that's never, that maybe they've lost their parents or something like that, and the house is now vacant, we go through that maybe once or twice in our lifetime. So it's new for everybody. So I really, I love meeting people and seeing how we can make it work for them. That's so, yeah.
And on that note, what kind of questions would you ask someone to determine whether you could be of help to them or not? How do you ferret that out?
Well, I would say that more often people need our help because if for example somebody is downsizing, the best thing for them to do is or the easiest is to like start with one cupboard. What do I want? What do I not want? And very seldom will you find a person that wants every single thing in their item in their home. So it's kind of like trying to figure out, do I want this? Does this hold a memory? Do I need to pack that memory up with me and bring it? Or do I just let go of it there? And I usually, depending on how a house is, if I think if a house is too full, I am quick to suggest reading The Art of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. She even had a great Netflix series, and I think that is the first step sometimes, because it's a really emotional thing to like go through your house. Yes. And some people are great at it. They're very like, we've had that for 30 years. I didn't like it after 5 years. Why do I still have it 25 years later? But some things are a little more sentimental. And so I think that book really helps people decide, do I really want to pack this up and bring it with me? So I think that's a great first step. Another thing I like to advise people is, if you're packing something up to move it into a storage, rethink that, because 20 years from now, maybe it's less valuable. 20 years from now, you've spent all that money in storage. So if someone is downsizing, now really is the time to tackle those problems. They are sometimes problems.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. And thank you, as I face my garage again. Yeah.
We all do, Mary Ann.
So Kathi, how do you go about setting a timeline for a project, or what are the stages of a project? Could you line that up for us?
Sure. First stage always is meeting. Sometimes people have a definite timeline in play, and I do have to walk through that, because some people feel like they can move out of their house on Wednesday and have the estate sale on Friday. And that is pretty much impossible, I would say. I like to get into a house at least a week, 10 days, 2 weeks in advance, depending on just how much is there, because it takes a lot of organization. There's also advertising, and ideally, I like to have the house completely set up by the Monday before an estate sale so that it can be properly advertised. We advertise, or I have my own personal email list, and we also do online ads as well as signage, depending on the city and their regulations. Mm-hmm. So I think during COVID, I might have had some private sales and then open to the public later, just to lessen the amount of people that come. But so those are some kind of timeline things to think about. It's definitely unrealistic to say we're moving out on Wednesday, we want the sale to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right. So just to set expectations that way. So at the very least, for me to start 10 days before that picture perfect day where we send out all the advertising, we will do a sale usually 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like that. And depending on how the numbers for COVID go, is any pre-sales that might happen. So we do really need a little bit of time. After the sale is done, which I think a lot of people don't think about, what do we do with what's left? I do have somebody that I've worked with probably for about 15 years, And there's 4 of them. They bring a big box truck, and they take everything away so that the house is then ready for a realtor to come in, for house painting to start, for rugs to be taken out, or any of that. So I think that's it in a very quick nutshell. To further that thought along on the business aspect, excuse me. I usually meet with a client twice. I like to do a walkthrough. We talk about different options, and I don't like usually to sign a contract on that day, because I want them to, this is a big decision for people. I like them to think about it. Some people are ready, sign the contract that day, give me the keys, and, you know, I start like as soon as possible. But other people, you know, they want to take a little bit to think about it. I will say, absolutely. If you want to meet other people within my industry, as you would, you know, meeting contractors or whatever, interview other people, see if their vision goes along with yours. So I know that I am a little bit of a perfectionist, and I like to set up a sale so that it's store ready, so that it takes a little bit of the personal away from a sale, and it becomes like a store where people are then shopping. I like to take everything out of drawers and have everything priced. I don't like people going through and rifling, you know, through drawers and whatnot. I like to keep the sale clean throughout, so that it, you know, I think people tend to feel more comfortable shopping in a sale like that. I also think that they're much more respectful of the house and the items in the house. So I usually bring a crew with me, and they're constantly making sure there's nothing on the floor. If, you know, some people will go through and drop things and just leave it there, and not big fan of that. And so we usually have people making sure the house is constantly tidy. So, and I also think it's a good security issue too, to have more than just, you know, 2 people working at the sale.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. When you're talking about keeping it tidy, I have visions of folding sweaters at the Macy's sale table.
Yeah, kind of like that. Or the linen closet that somebody wants to open all the sheets to see what size it is, even though it's marked queen or whatever. So yeah, I like things tidy. I'm going to be spending a lot of time there. I want to be comfortable in the house. And I think most of the customers that I have coming in, they're constantly saying they really appreciate coming to our sale because they know what to expect. It is clean. They don't feel like they have to, you know, wear a gas mask or not touch things. We like it clean. Yeah. So,
yeah. So on that note, what kind of challenges do you encounter? I mean, what is the unexpected, and how do you handle that?
I think I've been in the business quite some time. I don't know that, I guess what would probably be the biggest challenge is selling some of the bigger items, like a big armoire, you know, or something like that, or a big china cabinet, because I think people are going a little bit more minimalistic. It's and I think what happens a lot with clients is they want to throw away all the little pieces of their home and leave all the things like the big sofa, the big dining room table. What I would like to just mention is that it is a lot easier to sell 100 hammers than it is to sell 1 sofa. So if you're thinking of the dollar and cents of your sale, the more smalls you actually have in a sale, the more successful a sale usually is. It takes more time for me to set up, but all those $1, $5, $25 items, add up a lot quicker than one china cabinet, actually. So
interesting.
yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I wouldn't have expected that. That's very interesting. Yeah. And how has COVID impacted your business? And have you seen it change at all now that more people are becoming vaccinated, or just in general? It's affected us all. How has it affected you?
Well, for me, it affected it greatly because we did do the shutdown. So I actually was working on a sale the day they shut. I think the sale was supposed to happen that coming weekend. I was like, had everything all set up, priced everything, and unfortunately, we didn't have the time to like wait for things to open. So then we had to shift, pack everything up, and then store it until we were able. Yeah, that was completely different. That doesn't obviously hasn't ever happened before, right?
Right.
But because the place was already sold, it's not like we can just wait for us to open again. We had to, just make some big decisions. So we had some things stored, and they came out of storage when I could marry it with a house that we could add things to. And yeah, so it worked out. And the poor woman, she did have to wait several months. Luckily, she didn't need the money that the items would give her, but it was just a matter of, you just don't want to throw everything away, So I think that there are a lot of sales happening now. People are feeling safer. We've done, just like a retail store, we've done, all of the same things. Hand sanitizer when you first walk in, everybody mask, limited numbers of people. And so before, I would say we had more people in a house at any one time. With COVID, we've limited that. All windows and doors open, just a different flow of the sale. And so that is one thing I look at when I come into a house now. I didn't used to test how many windows open, things like that, but now.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, we want more windows open. We want just a good flow. And posting up signs in every room, limit 4, please social distance, things like that.
Sure.
So,
yeah. Right, right.
Yeah.
Kathi, one of the things that you and I had just discussed briefly, and I think I had mentioned to you, I had a conversation earlier this week with someone, and that was a lot of us who were cleaning our garages or cleaning everything during COVID, we found that there was a point where those places that we had donated to were no longer taking donations. I know that that's not part of your business because you sell, but do you have anything to say about that? And if someone like the sofa, for instance, what happens if it doesn't sell because you sold 100 hammers? What happens to that?
Oh, yes. Okay. So during COVID, a lot of things did close up, like our donation avenues and things like that. And I do actually, while I'm going through a house, my advice to people usually is, first, read the book. Second, go through, and if you are in fact downsizing, start packing everything you do want to keep and leave behind everything you don't. I try not to make decisions for whatever customer might come in that day. Do they want it? Do they not want it? I don't want to limit their choices. But on that note, I will weed through a house, and I know after being in the business for this long, what has the potential to sell or what does not necessarily have a potential to sell, and what would bring actually a sale down. So like the linen closet, for example, I will cull the linen closet, and sheets and towels and things like that, blankets that have seen better days, I will bag up and bring to like the animal shelter, because they do still accept that
Right.
Yes, and families, I don't take the donation receipt for myself. That I send to the family at the end of a sale when I'm sending them the check for their proceeds. Also clothes. There are some companies that tend to sell more and some that like to just box it up and it's more of a poundage weight. So there are still some avenues out there that are taking donations, and that lightens the load in the house. If there's a lot of paperbacks, paperbacks don't usually sell too much. They're like maybe four for $1. Sometimes it's not worth keeping those around. I work to recycle because I really don't like garbage per se. Also, if I'm going through a house and I see maybe a sofa that has seen better days, if there's any stains or rips, actually your Salvation Armies and things won't take things like that. So we work to use a location's recology dump or whatnot. And usually every house gets 2 per year. So we could put out 2 sofas or things like that. So my goal is to not fill our landfills, but if we have to, not have it cost a fortune. So we try to work to fill garbage cans, work to, get that double dump and get things taken away sometimes before a sale. Because we don't want like the sofa that maybe, I don't know, Bruno, our dog, sat on and that was his sofa. We don't want that. You don't want clients walking in and that's the first thing they see, because
Sure.
that sets their expectation a little bit lower. And then suddenly they maybe don't want to spend as much money. So we want to make the place look wonderful. So they are so excited to spend a fortune on that hammer.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. And I can see why you would say that given your retail background.
Yeah.
It's, and we realtors too. That first impression means a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let me ask if there's anything else that you would like to share with us. And then also, please, anyone who has a question for Kathi, if you could just type it in the chat, or if you want to type it in the Q&A, don't raise your hand. Don't bother with that. I would be happy to forward those or ask them of Kathi. But Kathi, is there anything else that you feel that would be helpful to us?
I think you did a great job asking a lot of really pertinent questions. So kudos to you for pre-thinking things. I think that for a person just having an inkling of maybe they want to explore the opportunity of, gee, maybe I don't want to live in this big house that I raised my 4 kids in. Just, give me a call or set up an appointment with me or somebody, in my industry, just to kind of get an idea of, because every house is different and all the things in your house are different. I just think it's great to just meet. And hopefully, you can decide before 7 years if this is something you want to do. But I just think it helps,
Yes.
just getting an idea, because I think that when you're contemplating this, you can just be paralyzed and overwhelmed with, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. So just, I think it just really helps to talk. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you, Kathi. By the way, for everyone in attendance, I do have Kathi's calling card that I will post at the end of this, so you know how to reach out to her. And of course, you can reach out to me if you feel that you'd like to have further discussions with Kathi. And as I say, I've worked with her, and I have to say that she did a stellar job. As a matter of fact, she did such a stellar job that my husband and I were compelled to buy a couple of things. So that says something. Thank you, Kathi. Kathi, we're going to move to the second part of our show now, and you're certainly welcome to stick with us.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kathi. Okay, so everyone here, we do have another panelist today, and that is Karen Wray. Karen Wray is of the Alliance. Is that what it's called?
The Move Alliance.
The Move Alliance. Thank you. Thank you. The Move Alliance. And she does something similar, but not the same as Kathi. And she is a certified senior move manager. And basically what she does is she helps people who, again, are thinking of some sort of move and helps them sort out and determine what are next steps and what they want to do with their possessions. And she doesn't sell the way Kathi does, but we'll learn a lot more about what she has to do in her services. So I'm going to share the screen because she and I had recorded previously, and I will share with you now if I can do this as well as I think I can. So I'll start by welcoming you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yes, we're so glad that you're here today. Karen, we want to learn so much about what it is that you do and how you can help our listeners who are here figuring out what their next step in life is. So thank you so much. Let me start by asking you, can you tell us about your background, your training, and your specialties?
Yes, I have a background in project management, 15 years in Silicon Valley. I have sort of a natural love and desire to keep things organized and moving smoothly and efficiently. I helped my parents move out of their home that they had lived in for about 41 years, full of memories and things. And I learned firsthand just how overwhelming, how stressful the process was on everyone involved. And because I love helping people, I chose to combine my project management skills with my people skills and help families locally navigate the downsizing process with ease and grace. So for the past 8 years, I've worked as a senior move manager. My specialty is with older adults and their families, decluttering and downsizing.
Okay, thank you. And then you had answered this somewhat, but who is your client and the type of service that you provide? Now you just answered that, but if you wanted to expound on.
Well, so my average client would be over 50. They would have lived in their home for 10 years or more. They may have decided to move, or they may need to move, or they may just be thinking about moving. If they may not have a place in mind, or they may have already chosen a smaller home or perhaps a senior community. They definitely know that they don't want to take all their things with them. So they want some help, perhaps just lightening the load, right sizing, as we like to call it. And maybe they've started the process. Maybe they've been at it for a while and they either don't enjoy it, or they're not making the progress they'd hoped, or maybe they don't know where to start. And so the services we can come in and provide are helping them sort through their things and identify, what are the items they love? What do they want to keep? What do they need to keep? And then kind of the items that they no longer need or want, trying to find a new home for them. And that could be through donation or perhaps auction or consignment, recycling, and some things will go to the dump. And then we offer the move management services, which would be, setting up a floor plan, making sure that the belongings you're taking with you will fit safely and comfortably in your home, because the last thing we want to do is overwhelm your new home and have it not be safe. We would, I would hire, manage, and schedule the moving company. We'd provide packing materials, professional packing and unpacking, and complete home setup. And then on the other end, if there are things still in the home, or in some occasions, perhaps somebody's passed away, some people like to move and deal with the other things later. We would then go in and do a home clear out. That would also be, donation, recycling, and perhaps dispersal to the dump. All of this in honor of trying to prepare it for sale, maybe for staging or perhaps rental.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Now, how does someone recognize that they need your service, and at what point in the process do they generally reach out to?
I would say most situations are it's an individual or a couple. They're thinking about moving. Perhaps they've decided to move. They've been maybe a few months have gone by and they've made no progress, or they're overwhelmed by the progress. And so they find themselves sort of a form of like move paralysis, where they just are stuck. The whole process is just kind of stymied them. So they give us a call, and they can call anywhere in the process. I mean, it's never too late to call. We're happy to step in anywhere along the way, and provide whatever services are in their best interest. The one caveat being that, if we do come in right at the last minute, we're not going to have time to maybe sort everything properly like we like. And that can just happen on the other end, which is not a problem at all. So we can do a little, we can do a lot. We're just very flexible, trying to make sure it suits the client and keeping their health and well-being kind of as the number one priority. Because this can be for some people a very stressful process, which can be, hard on their health. And that's where we come in. We're really trying to keep everyone happy and healthy.
Yeah. Now, can you please walk us through a meeting with you for the first time if I were a potential client?
Yeah, it starts with a conversation on the phone, which is usually quite brief, just introducing ourselves. I'll give a kind of a brief background on the Move Alliance and the services we provide. But what I really need is I need to know, what are their needs in this process? What services do they think they want? And where are they? Maybe they've already sold their house and they need to be out by X date, because that timeline is important, because I want to make sure that we have time available. I don't want to waste anyone's time. And then if they're wanting to move forward, we'll set up a first in-person meeting. It's just one-on-one. We'll do a walkthrough where, if it's okay with the client, I'll take pictures and doing some measuring of, the larger pieces. And we kind of talk through the items, and I get a better feel for what's important to them. What are the items of value, sentiment, help them identify what they need and what they want to take with them. And then we also can talk about what they might want to do with the things left behind. Some people have a particular attachment to certain charities, and we're happy to work with that. That's always nice to hear about. We talk about the schedule, where are they in the process? Is there a date already set that this needs to be accomplished, or is it wide open and we can kind of work within their own calendar? But the idea is just to make sure that we schedule enough time to get it ready for the move. And then we talk about family, because family is really important, extended family. Are there other family members that we should be keeping in the loop? Are there family members that should have an opportunity to walk through before items are dispersed of that they're not keeping? If they're interested in selling items, we will give them, I'm happy to give them great referrals to companies that do, online sales, estate sales, such as Timeless Treasures. And then we end with questions. I just want to make sure that they get all the information they need to feel comfortable and, empowered to move forward. So.
Excellent. Thanks. Now, how do you establish a timeline for the project, and how do you determine what the cost for your services for that project would be?
Right. So for most, every timeline's unique, as is every client and their needs. So what we do is we start with the move date, or like a range that they're looking to move by. And we work from there. That's kind of the first brick that goes in, and everything builds after it. 1, 2, 3, or 4 days prior to move day, we will schedule packing days. And it just depends on how big the move is. We generally do it in 1 or 2 days, but for a bigger move, it will take more time. We will then schedule sorting times as soon as possible. I mean, no rush, but at the same time, there's no reason to delay starting, because the sorting process is the hardest part. It's the part that's the hardest on the client. It's exhausting, and it's nice to give it as much time as possible so they can take breaks, so they can have family come in and see things. Then the next thing would be to schedule, if there's clearing out to do, we'll schedule a few days after the move or the week after. And now with COVID, because the process is taking longer because they're not allowing as many people to be part of the move process, especially in senior communities, we're scheduling a second move day. And that would be to unpack the things that weren't necessity items, hanging art, maybe making your bookshelf look perfect. That being said, on move day, we do set up so that you can sleep there, so it's safe. So you have your toothbrush and your food and your coffee mug and your coffee and coffee maker, as we know that's very important. So that's how we do that. And then when it comes to the cost of service, I work on an hourly basis. And I found that's just so helpful for my clients. It provides flexibility because, as you know, you go into this, nobody understands what they're going to feel, how tired they'll be, where they're going to need help, where they're going to feel empowered, and they're not going to need help. So it gives them the flexibility to add services, delete services as we go, just making it it's in the client's best interest. And that way, at the end of the day, they are just paying for my hours, our actual hours work, nothing extra. And hopefully we're keeping them safe and healthy through the process.
What might be some unexpected challenges, and then how do you work with those?
This year has taught us, COVID being one of the most unexpected challenges, that we need to be flexible and resilient. There is so much unexpected that goes on during a move. And we spend a lot of time putting out fires, and we know that they're going to happen, and we are so ready to take care of it. And, the client just needs to understand that, a move is chaotic and nothing ever goes exactly as planned, but, we do have your best interest at heart, and we're going to take very good care of everything. Other unexpected challenges we've faced are, clients will have health issues. A client that wanted to be part of the process at every step of the way, may find themselves in the hospital. They may be moving directly to the new home, to the independent living or assisted living. And we are very capable and willing to take on the move independently without the clients being present. And we assure them that we will set up a very safe and comfortable home. It may not be exactly as they would have set it up, but it'll be safe, it'll be comfortable, and we are always willing to come back and shuffle things around when they're ready. Some clients unexpectedly just decide they'd rather live, age in place, as they call it. And that's fine. We are happy to do whatever. And, if we've done sorting, great. Now they're living in a slightly lightened up house, and that's a good thing. Clients, I would say probably something that's really common is the pace of the job will change dramatically. Either they get a little further and they decide they don't want to move this year. They prefer to move next year. So that's fine. We will slow down, we'll stop, we'll do whatever, maybe they want to keep sorting. We'll keep sorting and then we'll pause whenever it's time. If it does speed up, we're happy to help them with that. But, they just need to understand something will have to give if it's, an immediate speed up. If we're moving next week, we won't be able to do all the sorting, and that's okay. We can do the decluttering on the other end. We might need to pick a different mover. It may not be their favorite mover that they wanted to use if we have to change to an immediate time frame. So, we're all just learning through COVID that flexibility is a great thing. We need to slow down sometimes, and it's not something we can always control.
Sure, absolutely, like COVID. And that was my next question, how the sheltering in place had impacted your business, and what, if any, changes do you see this year as more seniors are becoming vaccinated?
Right. Well, so the changes, the COVID really knocked the wind out of a lot of us. I am an essential worker technically, so I could have continued to work, but I chose to pause in the spring just to keep my clients' best interest. Their health was a priority, and there was so much unknown. And as things started to lighten up in the summer, I let the clients come to me and let me know when they were comfortable, when they needed my help again. We've put in, typical COVID protocols that we're all facing everywhere. We try to work one-on-one and keep out as many, we request that the painter's not there the same day, just to kind of reduce, other people being around. We wear masks, hand sanitizer, stay 6 feet apart. We try to open windows and doors when possible. If it's awfully cold, that gets a little tricky. We do have a COVID relief that just reminds, COVID release that reminds the client that, there are risks with COVID. And to remind them to wash hands before and after visits, to sanitize the house, and limiting, scheduling other people there at the same time. We also both agree to notify each other if, anyone's having any symptoms. Sure. And then another big change is that with charities and donations, it's getting really, really hard to donate items. In fact, through most of last year, there was almost nothing you could donate. Now, as things are opening up, the charities are still very limited to what they're accepting. And it's very hard for clients to hear, but they will not accept most large furniture. They're not accepting upholstered furniture, nothing with stains, rips, nothing that's not in perfect working order, mattresses, anything, sheets and bedding. And, the one thing that they love still is mid-century modern furniture that's in great condition. So that is the one kind of exception to the rule, I would say. So that's been hard because we really don't like to put things into landfill. So we're getting creative. And fortunately, some of the smaller charities, the local charities, are beginning to accept direct donation to clients, which is great. It doesn't solve all of our problems, but it's definitely helping. And then the senior communities, the access that we've had has been so limited. And I don't know how much that'll truly change. I think they're always going to be a little more cautious. So that makes a move it's a little slower process because they're only letting in, let's say, 2 people at a time. So where we used to be able to have 5 movers and maybe 2 move managers, we now have 2 people. And it's really slowing things down, which is fine. The client's not paying more, it's just less people. It takes longer. It's adding on a second move day on occasion. And then there are a few communities that are not allowing any outsiders in. So on those, we just unfortunately have to unload in the parking lot and their staff will take over. So we label the boxes really carefully. We pack thoughtfully, making sure, where we used to fill a box to the rim, now we will maybe only do 3/4 full because that's the bathroom stuff. And we're not going to do mixed boxes because we want to make it as easy on the senior community staff to set up the home comfortably. And so we're just giving them very detailed floor plans that help them set it up because it's important to try to set it up as it was before. The more familiar it is, the less impact it has on the health and well-being of the client. It's wonderful to see the seniors getting vaccinated, and some communities are saying they're at 100%, which is great. We're not seeing a huge change in them allowing more people in, but there are a few where it's getting, they're letting in more, so that will speed up a move a little bit. But it's just, we're flexible. We're going with, I would totally respect the rules. They are keeping people safe, and that's important. So, people moving just need to understand that it is a little bit of curveball, and it will, kind of take a toll on making a really quick and fast move.
Sure, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Kathy, given that Karen.
It's okay. Our names are very similar. It happens.
Karen, given that our audience, for the most part, are people who are tuning in because perhaps they're thinking of making where they live a little bit more comfortable, they want to age in place, or they're considering a move sometime in the future. Do you, in your experience, have any suggestions, watchwords, any advice?
I would say, time is something you want to be thoughtful of. It's never too early to start. In fact, even if you just have an inkling that you might someday want to move, it's time to start considering, decluttering your home. I mean, everyone has too much stuff. Even people who have very little have more than we need. So it's not an easy process. So give yourself the benefit of time. It may take you a lot longer than you realize to go through that box of photos, or even your bookshelf. It's amazing where there are things that, my clients will get, I wouldn't call it stumbling, but roadblocks that they hit that they weren't expecting. So if you have the time, then you can take a break if you need, or you can bring in the family that you wanted to share it with and make sure they get the pieces they want. But be kind to yourself. Start small. Find an area in your home that just feels comfortable and easy to sort with. For one client, it might be their bookcase. For another, it might be their husband's closet. Find an area that doesn't feel like work, and, kind of get going. You'll find that as you let go of things and you find new homes for things, it lightens, it releases a burden. Excess belongings are a burden. And although we think they bring us happiness, some of them are really just getting in the way of living. And it's amazing. You'll give a box to, let's say, Salvation Army, and there's just a feeling of, this isn't going to the dump. This is going somewhere where somebody, and there are plenty of people in need nearby. Somebody needs things, and these are things that I'm not using them, let someone else use them. So just, I would say, be kind to yourself, start small, but truly the best way to organize is to declutter. So
yes. And I have ended my questions. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
No, I really appreciate this opportunity. I feel for everyone that's been affected by COVID, especially those wanting to downsize, because I do think it's been problematic in many ways. I hope people can see a light at the end of the tunnel, although I don't think we'll ever quite go back to what we had before. I think, we're hopefully more thoughtful and considerate of, what we're all going through. And I just hope everyone can, be selfish enough to take care of themselves. Downsizing can be a great way to really free yourself to enjoy the future ahead. So I just hope everyone health and happiness, and, stay safe.
That's great. Thank you so much. So for everyone watching, I am going to put up a slide, which is all of Karen's contact information. And if for some reason you don't grab it, or you'd like to reach out to me because you would like to speak with her, please contact me either now or send me an email after. And you've been a wealth of information, and actually very reassuring, very, very reassuring. Thank you. And I'm just so impressed with your agility, and it's very clear that it's the need of the client that comes first for you, and that's very admirable. I appreciate you.
And I would add, just if anyone listening has any questions, they're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'm always happy to refer them if it's not something I can help with, or help them if it's something I can do.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you so much. And goodbye. Thank you. Well, that was the end of our two panelists today. Comment here, great suggestions and ideas from both panelists. Yeah, I think so too. If I have a slide here, which is going to give you the opportunity to have the contact information. And let me see if I can just pull that up. Maybe not. Oh yeah, here we go. Here, let me share this with you. And didn't open it first. Here we go. Hold on, it's me again. I'm coming back. Oh, here we go. And I think that you should be able to see that now. Um, no, I can't because I didn't share right here. No. Help is on its way. So sorry. Not that I'm technically challenged, but I'm technically challenged here. Anyway, the contact information for both Karen Wray at the Move Alliance and Kathi Loeser at Timeless Treasures Estate Sales. Bring that over here. And here we go. And I hope you have that now that I've shared it appropriately. Or not. So there we go. Thank you, Vanessa. So we are going to be doing the third and the last of our series next week, and this should be fun too. I have chosen 4 realtors who live in areas outside of the Bay Area. 3 of them are out of state, and one of them is in the east of El Dorado Hills, just east of Sacramento, for getting an idea of, well, heck, if I were to sell here and move someplace else, just what could I live in? I think it would be interesting, especially for those people out of state, to learn about the advantages or disadvantages of different tax rates and different policies. Thank you all for participating today. I really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you next week also. And please invite others. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.